Coming to you live from a little grass shack in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's the Junior Kekuewa Jr. Show, starring Junior Kekuewa Jr.
I could have sworn we fired this guy.
Join Junior along with the Wayne Borhe Band as he makes any kind from Hawaii.
No idea.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Junior Kekuewa Jr.
How's it, Hawaiians? Okay, on today's, Hawaiians, hurry up. All right, come on. On today's show, as it were. How's it? Hey, welcome to the podcast. I'm Junior Kekuewa Jr., and we'd like to start with the attitude of gratitude. So thank you if you're joining us for the first time. Okay, we want to say thank you. This is a Law of Attraction podcast, okay? Comedy podcast, because we put a little bit of comedy inside. We make it interesting, okay? Make it a little funny for you, hopefully. we try. Anyway, okay, so today we're going to talk about the observer, awareness, and the observer. Okay, you are awareness, whether you are aware of it or not. Your awareness, right? You know, some people go, "Oh, what are you talking about? Like, is this a new concept?" Or no, it's not. Your awareness. That's what you are. Okay, awareness is the state of being conscious of something. Are you aware of your life? Are you aware of your thoughts? Right? See? Okay? All right, hang in there with me, Hawaiians. Hang in there with me. Okay, now, it is spacious, silent, and formless. It doesn't do anything. It just is. You just are. Okay, the phrase, I am, is a complete sentence. I am. Okay, you exist. Now, in the Bible, okay, now this is not church or anything like that, okay? So if you don't, subscribe to Bible ideology, then just bear with me, okay? So in the Bible, in the Holy Bible, and in all holy books, relatively, they explain the same thing in a different way. But in the Bible, God identifies himself to Moses as I am. He says, tell the people of Israel, I am sent me, or sent you, right? And so Moses tells the people, well, I am is God. Okay, so excuse me. So when you hear this, right, you go, wait a minute, what? Like I am, okay, I am is God. Okay, wait a minute, that's me. Okay, God lives in here, right? Yeah, God lives in you. God lives inside of you. You have that God power, if you want to call it that, or that energy, that God energy in you, or you could say it another way. You are a co-creator with God. God exists in you, and you can exert it when you want to. Okay, when you want to. Because you can exert the other side too. You know, what is that, devil? Well, okay. So the ancients weren't very complicated. Okay, so, devil, evil, good, God. They weren't very complicated people. Okay. And things were pretty advanced. If you go back to Tartaria, things like that, okay, look it up. Just Google. But if you look at societies like that, right, we had electric cars like way back. It did not start with Tesla. Okay, if you go back in history, we had helicopters. Guess who invented the helicopter? I don't know if you know this. I didn't know until about, 25 years ago maybe. Leonardo da Vinci drafted the first helicopter. Okay, so you know how long ago that was? Okay, and then here's another one, okay? Now that we're talking about awareness, okay, being aware, okay? Because you see pictures, right? You see stuff. You just don't, the best place to hide something is right in front of people, okay? So you don't see these things, but they're there, okay? So back in the day, right, there's all these pictures of these grand cathedrals and these big buildings and this advanced architecture, right? But then you got horse and buggies, right? Horse and buggies on the street. Okay, now how did they put these things up? Where were the cranes? Where was the tech? Where was the tech for these big things? Mm-hmm. There you go. All right, so now let's talk about awareness and being the observer. Okay, because sometimes you look, but you don't see. Okay, sometimes you look at things and then, and you go about your day. Why? Because you're busy with your stuff, right? Everybody's concerned with their things. Okay, so when you look at other things, it's like, okay, whatever. And then on to my things, right? So anyway, back to awareness. Okay, awareness simply is. It's the backdrop in which everything appears. The backdrop. Okay, it's in the background. It's watching everything, your thoughts, sensations, emotions, and the world around you. It just is. You are. Okay. Now there's many ways to look at that. Okay. And then you see people like I meet people who, claim to be so spiritual and God bless them. I mean, they I don't know. They seem to be spiritual, right? They claim to be spiritual, yet there's a part of them that just does not understand that their awareness and that they're aware. Okay, Gautama Buddha said something very, very interesting. Gautama Buddha said, and I always say this quote, so if you've heard it, just go with it. Okay, but Gautama Buddha said, the man who sees life as an illusion escapes suffering. This whole thing is an illusion. This whole experience is an illusion. Okay, ever since you were born into this world that unfolds from within you, from inside. Okay, now where does this come from? Do you make this up as you go along? Kind of, sort of, a little. Okay, but it's also hereditary. What does that mean? Well, like if there was this big Xerox machine in the hospital, okay, you pop out of this Xerox machine, you're part your mom and you're part your dad, okay, and you've also got a little bit of grandma filtered in, and grandpa filtered in, and great grandpa and grandma, because you've never seen them. Cameras weren't invented, right? Okay, but their nose could be on your face. There you go. There you go, Hawaiians. I know, right? Okay, that was a stretch. I mean, it was a stretch in the way that I stretched your brain out that far. That so you have to be able to consider these things, right? Because you know what the smart people do? The really, really smart people. Okay, I'm talking about educated people that think they're smart. No, I mean they're smart. They know what they know. Okay, you go to college and you take engineering. You know how to be an engineer, and that's what you do, and you know that inside out, backwards, upside down, and whatever, and you're that engineer. Okay, but the people that I serve, my clients, okay, they're top professionals. I call them high performance professionals. Okay, because that's exactly what they are. Okay. But these people, right, when I talk to them about this, they go, oh, wow, and they learn. Why? Because it's not taught in college. They don't want you to know this in college. Why don't they want you to know? Well, they have religious, right? They have religious courses, right? Do they have spiritual courses? Maybe now they do. I don't know. And I don't care. But here's the thing, right? When you're self-educated versus, formal, institutionalized education. Okay, and I know because both of my parents were institutionalized, educated people. Okay, institutional educated. Okay, they call it institution for a reason. Okay, it's factory education. Now, there's nothing wrong with my parents or anything, but the concepts that I teach, they have no clue. They have no clue. They can't wrap their minds around it. Okay, I know my dad didn't, before he died, he didn't. Okay, my mom still doesn't. She can entertain part of it. She goes down the path like, I don't know, a little bit, and then she shuts off. She can't think anymore about it. Why? Well, because she's been conditioned into the system. Okay, no, I'm not knocking my mom. I'm just saying that's what happens. We start having a discussion. Okay, and in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'll hold your hand and we'll walk down this road as far as you can walk. And then I'm going to let your hand go. And that's exactly what I do. Okay, because she can't wrap her mind around the fact that she's awareness, right? Observing her life, observing all these things, observing all the things that she's accomplished, okay? And the other thing, here's the other thing that she can't wrap her mind around. Okay, now I'm just talking about my mom in a general educated sense. Okay, my mom wasn't a PhD, or she didn't have a master's degree. She had an elementary school degree, kindergarten through 6th grade. Okay, that was it. That was her. I think it's a bachelor's, was what they call it. And I'm not knocking that at all. I'm just saying that's what she did. Okay, but here's what education teaches you. It teaches you how to think. Okay, it shows you that, okay, this is what we do, and this is the path you follow if you want to do this trade or that trade or whatever it is, right? And in my mom's case, it was teaching. Okay, but my mom can only go down the road so much. Okay, down the spiritual path, the awareness path. Okay, the greater path, the more expanded path. Okay. And it's not, and she looks at me like, oh boy, there's this kid with this big imagination. And I'm an old kid with this with this big imagination. But no, you have to acknowledge this, or you miss the whole point. You miss the whole point of existence. You miss the whole point of your life if you miss this. Okay. Now, if you want to call it lifting the veil, okay, lifting the veil, right? Okay, the veil does lift. At certain points in your life, the veil will lift, okay? And it's not like it comes around every few years. No, every once in a while, you see things for what they really are, because they can't help but reveal themselves to you, because you were designed to thrive in that environment, in that spiritual environment, but you can't see it. And the reason why you can't see it is because it's clouded with this, we do things this way thoughts. Oh, that's not the way you do this. You do this way. I can't even tell you how many times in my life, right? People have told me, oh, that's not the way that works. That it doesn't go like that. And I'm like, what? I'm like, it doesn't go like that? Well, guess what? I'm going to make it go my way. Okay. And I learned it. I don't know. I just learned this as a kid. When I was a kid, I learned this. Here's what I learned, right? And this is like a GPS. And today I look at GPS's working, or whatever. I look at the GPS and how it works. And, if you go down the street and the GPS is showing you a different route, but you actually know a shortcut, and you go down the shortcut, the GPS has to recalibrate. And then you can rejoin the GPS. And then it leads you to wherever you're going. Okay, so at that point, what the GPS is doing, it's not leading you, it's assisting you with the parts that you don't know. It fills in the blanks of what you don't know or what you don't see, right? Because it knows. Okay, so I did this with so many things. People tell me, well, that's not the way it works. I'm like, well, I'm going to make it work this way because I said, right? And I was stubborn like that, right? But I included God in that, right? And I'm like, okay, God, you better help me out with this. You better, whatever. Okay, I just say, Father God. That's me referring to higher intelligence. That's all it is. And so I said, okay, well, let's do it I just want to do it this way, because there's certain things that I want to do that if I did it the way everybody else did, it would leave out all that stuff. Okay, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. And guess what happened? The GPS recalibrated. It assisted me, and I got to where I was going my way. You can get there your way. Excuse me. I don't know whatever way, whatever you're doing, whatever you're interested in, but you can get there your way. You don't have to follow a plan. I mean, if there's if there's a plan, it's like if you're going to be a doctor or a pharmacist, okay, there are things there. There are concrete things there, okay? I'm talking about like what you want to accomplish. Let's say you want a lot of money. And people go, oh, you can't do that. You can't do it that way. You have to save money. You have to put money away. Like you have to do all these things, right? And what you really learn in life is that you're going to spend your money on things that you prioritize to be, the thing. Let me give you an example of that, okay? Because you can, I'm here to dispel a lot of stuff that you have been conditioned to believe. Okay, hang in there. The law of attraction part is coming. Okay, it's coming. It's coming. Now, what I'm talking about is, okay, so when I was young, I saw a lot of guys get paid, and they would take their paychecks to the bar, and they would have a great time, and they would have a great night. Sometimes it was 2 nights, okay? But at the end of the weekend, they would be broke. No money. Why? Well, because they spend it all at the bar for a couple nights, but they had a great time. It was great. Now what do? Well, they struggle for the next 2 weeks, okay? And that there's nothing wrong. I'm not judging them. There's nothing wrong with that. I've done it too. I did it a few times until I go, no, you know what? This is not the life for me. Okay. So now let's look at something else. So that, right? Spending all your money on that versus something tangible. And what am I talking about? Well, something tangible, something that when, like down the road, years down the road, you go, I have this to show for it. I have this to show for it. Something tangible, something you could touch, feel, look at, appreciate, whatever, all of that. So that's what I did, right? So just, for me, like I would go collect these guitars. I have a guitar collection. I have a watch collection. I have the whatever. So I collect shoes sometimes. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But I'm saying tangible. So I decided, it was a decision that I had to make a long time ago. And the decision was, well, if you're going to work this hard, then at least have something to show for it, right? So as a result, I don't go down to bars. I don't go to bars because to me it's a waste of money. Okay, I'll go buy a beer. I'll go buy some wine, go home and, drink at home, right? Or because I don't want to drive, have a DUI kind of thing, risk, that kind of stuff. So what I used to do before is I used to have a driver, right? And my driver would drive all over the place. But now I don't have as busy a schedule, so I don't have a driver. And I don't do business with a company anymore that we advertise for, that kind of thing, right? So I there's no need, is what I'm saying. But back in the day when I was really busy, when I was building my companies, when I was putting everything together and actively doing large volumes of work, it was an incredible volume of work, So I needed a driver. I couldn't take the risk of a DUI, but then also I didn't want to drive. And it was great. It was, it was like I was living a fantasy, okay, well, I'll have a driver, drive me here. I'll go over there, just take me here, that kind of thing. And I got to tell you, it doesn't matter what you want. You have to put your mind and your focus on what you want. You only need to know the what and the why. That's it. That's it. Okay. But now, okay, that being said, and we went all the way to the left, Hawaiians, all the way out here to the left, okay? Now, let's take it back in. Awareness. Okay, when you are aware, okay, because awareness is the backdrop now, remember, okay? So you're observing your thoughts, your sensations, emotions, and the world around you, all your senses, everything. You are aware, okay? So what do you do with your thoughts that you don't want? Well, you observe them and you don't engage with them. When you engage with your thoughts, here's what you're doing. You're becoming your thoughts. Let me give you an example. Okay. When you use the term I, okay, remember, I am, right? God identified himself to Moses as I am. When you identify the I with something, you join with it. Okay, let me say it again. When you use the I with something, you join with it. I'm depressed. I'm angry. Now, you have taken that depression and you have attached it to the I, which is you. Okay? Now, we can look at this another way as well. Okay? You know how I don't know the exact quote because like I said, this is not church. I'm not a Bible guy per se or anything like that. I'm not a Bible scholar, but when God says, right, you should not use the Lord thy God's name in vain. Okay? What do people think? Well, they think that that's just like somebody going around saying, gee, damn. Okay, I try to keep the podcast clean because we got kids listening. We got 17-year-olds listening. All right, so no, it's not that. If you look at these people that practice Judaism, they say that term all the time. Like, and they say it on TV, comics, all over. They say it all the time. Why? Because that's not God's name. It's an expression. What's God's name? Well, there are many people who have many different opinions on that. And I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm here to tell you that in Scripture, it says, I am. So if you say, you know how stupid I am, well, you know how dumb I am, you know how whatever I am, right? Insert any negativity there. Any negative term at all. Just insert it right there. Now you are insulting the Creator. Now you are using God's name in vain. I'm stupid. I'm not that bright. I'm not that good at, right? I'm terrible at what? Whatever. Doesn't matter. You've already used God's name in vain. Why? Because you've attached negativity to God. God lives in you. God is in here. Okay, I'm pointing to myself. God is in here. Okay, so be careful. Be careful. Now, people don't know these things, right? The average guy is like not even thinking about this stuff, right? And you go, oh, that's just philosophy. No, it's not. No, it's not. Hawaiians, all right? I'm here to wake you up, okay? All right. I know this gets boring after a while. There's no music. There's no nothing, right? Okay, but here's the thing, okay? Your subconscious knows. Your subconscious hears you. Your subconscious takes notes of everything you do. Everything, okay? And now what drives you and your actions and everything, your beliefs? So let's look at the subconscious tree, okay? So let's take a look at this now. So you got your subconscious, right? Okay. So now your subconscious, okay, is where your core beliefs are. Your conscious mind thinks a million thoughts a day, right? And then the most predominant thoughts, the thought you think of most, starts to be very convincing. It starts to become a belief. A belief is a thought you keep thinking. The people who believe in God, they believe certain things about God. Well, they keep practicing that. They keep believing it. They keep thinking it. Therefore, it is. And you are. And I am. See? So when you do these things, right, it goes into your subconscious. When it goes into your subconscious, what happens? Well, it forms your paradigm, the way you see the world based on what you believe. And then where do your actions come from? Your paradigm. And then your actions come from. So let's look at the tree like this. The roots are the subconscious beliefs. Excuse me. The roots of the tree, your subconscious beliefs. Okay, the trunk of the tree, okay, or let's say the bulk of the tree, okay, is your paradigm. It's your understanding of how you see the world based upon what you believe. How do you believe anything? Well, when you were a kid, you were taught certain things, right? People taught you. Did you know you don't have to teach a human being? Did you know that humans do not need to be taught right from wrong? You need to be taught a trade. But if someone wants you to behave in a certain manner, if someone wants you to be a certain way, they will teach you and you will learn and you will become that. So where do your beliefs, your core beliefs come from? Well, probably your mom and dad and your sisters and brothers and your family and whoever you were raised with. Now, up until 7 years old, our first paradigm is formed. And that first paradigm is the default. Okay. In other words, what happens is, yeah, you can practice new things. You can form new beliefs. Okay. But when those dissolve or when those, let's say that your core beliefs, these thoughts were just like pounded into you. And when you I don't mean pounded literally, but I just mean over and over and over. You keep thinking this over and over. You go to church every Sunday, and every Sunday they make an impact on you. And now you believe in God. Okay. Now somebody comes along and goes, oh, well, yeah, but there's no God. But you go, no, there is God, right? Because your core beliefs say there's God. Now, I just want to interject right here at this point in this discussion and say that God is very real, okay? But it's not the way that they explain it to you in church. It's just not that way. Anyway, all right. So, church is a business. Okay, don't get me started on that. So anyway, all right. Now let's get back to the discussion. If somebody tries to convince you that there's no God, but up until 7 years old, you went to church every Sunday, you said your prayers every night, this is ingrained in your subconscious as a core belief. So religion serves a purpose. It serves a purpose. Okay, it does. I'm not saying religion is bad. I'm just saying, I'm giving you an example. Now, when somebody comes along and tries to convince you that, no, this is not the thing, this is not the deal, this is not right, it's very, very difficult for you to go the other way. Why? Because your core beliefs, they're called core beliefs for a reason, okay? Up until 7 years old. So, now, let's discuss a little bit about temporary habits, okay? How do you acquire temporary habits? Well, or temporary actions, right? You can decide. Your conscious mind says, okay, turn on the TV. Your conscious mind says, start the car. Your conscious mind says, all right, drive down the street. And you go, and you do. Okay, so let's say you have a bad habit. And let's say your bad habit is being lazy. Your conscious mind can say, all right, get up and go do some reps in the gym. Go down to the gym and do some reps. And you can do that. And you can do it a couple times a week, and you could do it maybe 3-4 times a week, whatever you want to do, right? Okay? But it's temporary until, okay? It's temporary. Here's a caveat. It's temporary until you get it into your subconscious, as a rule. Okay? Now, that sounds kind of strict, right? That sounds kind of harsh. As a rule. Whoa, unks, what? Yeah. Okay. And all I mean is as a habit. Because when you get your when you get an idea or some belief installed, okay, let's call it a program, and you install the program into the hard drive, which is your hard drive is your subconscious. Now you have something that you believe. Now you have a new belief, and that belief is I have to go to the gym 3 times a week. And now you're going 3 times a week. And by the 3rd week, this is easy to do. You just show up. You didn't have to put any effort into it. You just get in the car, go down to the gym, walk in the gym, start your reps, do your thing, right? Okay, so now this is permanent. This becomes part of you, part of your core beliefs, part of what you're going to do all the time. It's no longer temporary. Why? Because it's been installed in your subconscious. How do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. It's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. It's very, very easy to do. Now, people have, things that they consider easy, things that they consider hard, okay? Sometimes they think that, resisting the donuts are hard, okay? I'm just just playing around here with some examples. Resisting, I can't resist the donut. Oh, donuts are so good. Especially the glazed ones or the powdered ones. Oh man, I used to have a thing for powdered donuts, right? Until I gained like 25 pounds. And then I'm like, maybe these powdered donuts aren't the thing. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, right? Like some people think that resistance is hard. I'm going to resist the donut. Okay, I'm going to push it away. I'm going to push myself away from the dinner table because I'm eating too much. No, this is not hard. You have to reframe it. Okay, reframe it. And you have to tell yourself. So recently, I'll share this story with you. So just so you know I'm human. Okay, so recently I've had this corn thingy on my toe. I know this is TMI. But I got this corn removal thing, right? And I think I left it on one day too long, and then it really hurt. And I so far I cannot wear shoes for like a month, right? No shoes for a month. And which means no gym for a month, which means no 4 mile a day walks for a month. Okay. And inside, I started going crazy inside. I'm like, what? Because I can't do these things. And it was just frustrating, right? So pretty soon it builds up, right? Now let me show you how the law of attraction works. Okay, so when I did an audit, every month I do an audit, okay? Like how much money did my companies bring in this month? What did we do this month? And I run an audit. So I run the audit the other day, right? I was like, oh my God, I thought so, right? Because, right, when your energy level goes down, okay, or let's say it another way, when you're not vibing, high enough, when you're not, have that good energy going, like you're feeling good and okay, that's when things come in. That's when business comes in. March was a record month, okay? Probably record month in the last, 2-3 years. Record month, right? So this month, right, I go in the other day and I go, oh my God, okay. And I expected that it would be not as good. Like guarantee. I knew it wasn't as good. Why? Because I feel like a bird in a cage. Why? Because I can't do the things that I normally do. I can't get the exercise. I can't get the mental clarity from the gym. I mean, all those things, okay? So it's not just you. Don't ever think it's just you, okay? Don't ever think because I have a podcast or I go live in the mornings on all the platforms that I go live on and that I do all this life coaching and that I life coach professionals that I don't have challenges. No, that's the furthest thing from the truth, okay? Life coaches are not about people that don't have problems. We have problems every day, all the time. Challenges all the time, every day. But because I know better, because I can be the observer, because I can look into everything and I can observe my thoughts. And I go, okay, here's another one, and they pass by, right? And I don't join. I don't engage. I observe the thoughts going by, and the thoughts are like, hey, you're really frustrated because you can't go to the gym. Excuse me. And the thoughts are like, hey, you're really frustrated because you can't do your exercise. And your muscles are getting weaker because you're not doing these things. Mm-hmm. So then what? Well, I let it go. I don't attach to it. But I recognize it for what it is. When I look at the amount, right, of money that the company's brought in and I go, yeah, okay, I got it. I understand totally what's going on. Some people aren't able to tell. Some people look at that and go, wow, whoa, I wonder, like the end of the world's happening. We didn't do very good this month. Or we lost clients this month. Why did we lose clients? You have to understand that you need to take responsibility for every little thing in life. Everything. I am totally responsible for everything that went wrong this month. Why? Well, because, for a month, I haven't been able to really be myself and express myself as I normally do. And when I say express myself, I'm not saying talk about how I feel. I'm talking about expressing myself. Okay? The way I express myself out into the world. Now that totally changed back in in 2019 when I gave up entertainment. I gave it up. I stopped doing comedy. I'm like, okay, I'll just do comedy on the podcast. And today I really haven't done any. So the podcasts are becoming boring. But here's the thing, right? Hawaiians, you guys got to know this. Okay, when you take responsibility for everything shows itself to you. Everything. Thoughts, sensations, emotions, everything. When an emotion comes along, I'm very aware. Like, okay, here is sadness. Here is frustration. Sometimes I have to express it to someone. I can't communicate with somebody and go, you know what? Frustration is here. To them, it sounds crazy, right? So sometimes I have to say, I'm really frustrated. I'm really, whatever. Okay, but then I work it out within myself for my self-conscious. Okay. After I speak it to somebody, in my mind, in my head, to myself, to my self-conscious, I will reverse it. Okay, and this is what I've been teaching you guys to do. Actually, I mentioned it before on the podcast, but let me go through it again. So when you say something negative, when you think something negative, when you approach something in negativity, okay, if you correct it, or let's say you can correct it, let's say that first. You can correct it, okay? But the way you need to correct it is you need to rebound. Okay, what am I talking about? Rebound. Okay, you need to turn it around at the end so that when you leave it, leave it off at the ending, when you cut it off. Let's say you think a thought, okay? And the thought is, I don't know, Bob is crazy. Okay. All right. If you have a crazy friend named Bob, okay. All right. So I had this character on the radio that I used to call him my howly friend Bob. Anyway, that's in another world already. But anyway, so if your thought is Bob is crazy, okay, follow it up with a positive thought about Bob, because thoughts become things. Okay. So if you're thinking, oh, Bob, he's crazy. Maybe you want to think, oh, well, I've known him for 10 years and he's been a loyal friend. He's been a good guy. He's really helped me too. There you go. End it right there. Okay, even if you end it silently, you don't have to speak it. You can dismiss a thought silently. Okay, you can recant something that you've said verbally silently. Okay, because your mind is powerful. Your mind is more powerful than you will ever understand. My mind is more powerful than I will ever understand, because we don't have that level of understanding as humans. Okay? Some of us have a greater awareness. Some of us that put all of their time into awareness, into expanding their awareness, into being mystics or something, right? Yeah, they understand. They get it. But even they don't learn it all. Even they don't accomplish it all. And I say this with love. You see? You see how I did that? Because I wasn't dissing mystics, right? I'm just saying. Okay? But this is what you need to understand. This is what you need to know. That no matter how much you study something, no matter how much you do something, like, you can never learn it all. You can never understand it all. And that's okay. So it's not like, something's wrong if you can't max it out. If you can't get to a 100%, you will never get to 100% of anything in life, ever. Ever. You can be a total innovator, okay, like a total innovator of something, whatever it is, and only cross the 50% line by 10%. What does that mean? Well, the 50% line, it's the marker, it's the halfway point between good and bad, or positive and negative, or failure and success, however you want to put it, right? But you pull that marker over the line 1%, now you've got 51% positive, 51% good, 51%, right? Okay, now the majority of your life is positive, just by that 1%. Now, if you want to stretch it another 9%, now it's 60-40. Okay, 60% positive, 40% negative. There you go. Okay. There you go. Now, let's say that you need to learn something, or the 50 percentile represents the point in which, you learn 50% of it. Okay, stretch it to 60. Now you've learned 60% of it. Okay, but everything has an infinite possibility. Okay, this is getting a little bit away from awareness, right? I'm aware of that. Okay. I'm aware of that. But what I'm saying is that everything has an infinite end, or no end, because you can keep going. You don't have enough life to max something out. So don't ever think that you've learned it all. And don't ever think that don't put yourself down for not learning it all. It's impossible. You can't. There's no way. All right. Now, let's move on with awareness. Okay. Think of awareness like like the sky. And the clouds represent your thoughts. And the clouds represent your emotions. And the clouds pass by. And you watch the cloud pass by. Okay? You don't try to reach out and touch the cloud. You leave the cloud alone. And you let the cloud pass by and dissipate. And a new cloud comes along, which represents a new, thought, or a new sensation, or a new emotion. So even sensations, okay, even feelings, okay, you can detach. You can detach from feelings. I've had to do it many times. I've had to do it a lot with women. I've had to just stop and observe, just because women are emotional beings. And when you get emotional with a woman as a man, you are seen as a woman by the woman. There you go. Okay? Relationship 101. Okay? It's just the way it is. Most men don't know that. Only 3% of men understand women. But this is not a relationship podcast. Okay? We're talking about being the observer. Okay? Being the observer means using that awareness to actively notice what's happening without judgment and without engagement. You don't judge, you don't engage. Because when you engage, you become one with it. Okay? When you engage, you become part of it. When you judge something, right? You know how it says in the Bible, it says, "Judge not, and ye shall not be judged." That's because when you judge something, you're judging yourself. When you pronounce judgment upon something, you automatically get judged. Automatic. It's subconscious. So whatever you do to someone else, whatever you say about someone else, whatever you say against someone else happens to you. God doesn't punish. God never punishes, ever. God is love. God is pure love. God is pure light. You punish. You punish every day, all day long, with whatever it is that you do that comes back and hits you. But it doesn't come back the way you think. It's not like this energy field that you push out and it goes around the community or around the world and then comes back and hits you with bad luck. That's not the way it works. It's your subconscious. Because you spoke it, your subconscious heard you. Now it takes orders. It took your order. It doesn't know if you're talking about Bob being crazy or if you're talking about you being crazy. And that may result in a punishment. And that punishment may be low self-esteem, because deep inside you start to feel like you're crazy. So what you say doesn't matter. What you say is out there. What you say is, you see, like that. Okay. All right. So when you observe these things without judgment, when you observe these things without engaging, okay, then you see these thoughts. You think these thoughts. You're aware of thinking the thought without getting pulled into it. Same thing with emotions, right? When you get that strong emotion, it could be joy, it could be anger, it could be frustration, it could be whatever. Okay, so earlier, right? I like yesterday. It was yesterday, and I was feeling this, and I wrote this to one of my friends. Well, she's not really a friend; she's someone I'm friendly with, but I wrote it to her, and I said, "This is the way And I gave her the rundown of how I was feeling, what happened, and whatever, and why. Because, I'm aware of it. So when you take responsibility for your life, right? You're responsible. I'm responsible for all of that. I'm responsible for everything that happened in the last 30 days, including, right? And it started with leaving on the dissolver thingy, that acid thing too long. Right? So that happened to you see, right? And I didn't get mad at the manufacturer of that thing, right? I didn't no, it was me. I went to the store looking for something to solve this problem. Now, is the problem being solved? Yeah, that's the good news. It is being solved. Okay, so the corn, the skin, whatever, yeah, it went down. Okay, it's gonna be okay. It's just taking a long time to heal, and in that process, I cannot wear shoes. I've had to buy a pair of slippers. I have never worn slippers in public since I was a kid. So, it was a big yeah. I had to walk around with slippers, and I was like, oh, I don't do this. So I started wearing shorts because I had to walk around with slippers, and I don't even wear shorts. But now I do. I went out and bought a few pair of cargo shorts. So now I have shorts. I walk around. And now I'm getting used to walking around in slippers. And maybe this is all meant to be. Maybe it's just like, dude, relax. You don't have to go to the boardrooms anymore. Just relax. You don't have to go to boardroom meetings anymore. Well, not yet, anyway. I'm on a break from that stuff. But yeah, so maybe it all serves a purpose. You see, things happen for a reason. And maybe it was too much, of this over here, and now it's a little bit of this over here. So there's balance. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. It's I could contemplate this all day long. Okay, so that's irrelevant. What's relevant is that, number one, when you take responsibility for something, right, you begin to see what it is. You begin to feel what it is. You begin to know what it is when it is, instead of later on, and you look backwards and you go, oh yeah, that happened because of that, right? No, when you accept things, when you get used to being the observer, you see things in real time and you understand why they're happening. And sometimes you can't even do anything about it. What do I mean? Well, there's been time. Okay, here. Have you ever been in this situation where, like, say it's with a relationship, and you know that the next time you say something, or if you said a certain thing, like, it'll just seal the deal and break off this relationship, and you can't even help it, and it just comes out of your mouth, and you're just observing yourself doing it, and you can't even stop it, and then the relationship is dissolved. You ever had that happen? Mm-hmm. Have you ever, I'll give you another one. Have you ever been standing there, like, with a friend or with someone, and you're explaining, like, how to do stuff, and you're explaining this one thing on how to do this thing, and pretty soon you start saying things that you didn't even know you knew, and you go, wow, I better remember this because I didn't even know I knew this, right? Okay, that's the observer. That's awareness. You are consciously aware. Okay, you just didn't see it like that. Okay, and now you're trying to remember what it is that you're just uttering, that's coming from the superconscious working with the subconscious, because you have all these memories in your subconscious. But when it communicates with the superconscious, it's saying, we need more details about this. This is the subject right here. This is it. We need more details. And it draws from the superconscious. And then you have intuitive thought. And then you have the aha moments. And then you have the inventions. And then you have the breakthroughs. And then you have these things, right, that support the subconscious. Because the subconscious are the core beliefs. So when you believe in God, you start seeing things that God does. Okay? If you don't believe in God, then you don't see those things. You see other things. Whatever it is, whatever is in your subconscious, you start seeing that. And then what? And then, it's like the subconscious is your topic sentence, and then the superconscious comes in and gives you all the supporting sentences to support the topic sentence. If you want to look at it that way. Is writing your thing? There you go. Okay, like that. All right. Oh, I gotta go, always. So, become the observer. There you go. Hey, we want to thank Voice Master Enterprises, family of service companies. Yeah, we want to thank them. And also want to thank Darren Chinen. Darren Chinen and his music. You'll find his music at afmhawaiimusic.com. Okay? Pick up his music. He's an excellent musician, entertainer, and those are our sponsors as well. Yeah, if you want to be our sponsor, let us know. We'll let you in. Don't worry. We're not going to discriminate or anything like that. Yeah. Hey, until next time, I'm Junior Kekuewa Jr. Say mahalo and aloha.